Hi guys, I'm Steph of Wrestling Rehash and I'm your go-to woman for WWE witticisms. Now, Adam Blompier of What Culture WWE recently chose to tell us how he'd book the Divas Revolution, and while I don't always agree with our smarmy overlord, he made some pretty good points. However, I'd say it's a lot easier to book something once it's already happened. You've got the benefit of hindsight. It's a lot harder to book looking ahead. I'm going to fantasy book and tell you exactly what I'd do with both women's rosters, Raw and SmackDown, right through Summerslam up to the end of September. Now, that said, I'm going to change our starting position. They've painted us into a corner that I'm not happy to be in. The first women's match on pay-per-view after the brand split is Sasha versus Becky for the WWE Women's Championship. I know they're making an effort to make sure that the first big pay-per-view that's after the brand extension feels special, that the brands have a point. But it doesn't make sense because the women haven't got a title to fight for. Also, if we only get one women's match at SummerSlam, it feels almost negligent to have that match be for two women who are on the same roster. At the very least, I hope they bring in another women's match. But what would they fight for? Who would it be? Becky and Eva Marie? Yeah, don't do me any favours. Natalya and Carmella? They've not got a long time to make that feud into something worth watching. Natalya and Becky? Seen it. So, Sasha versus Becky. Sasha wins at SummerSlam, retaining her title and keeping it on her roster. Charlotte's not happy she didn't get a look in at SummerSlam, but at least her title's somewhere that she can get to it, so she attacks Sasha for it straight away, the next night on Raw. Becky, meanwhile, goes back to SmackDown furious with herself that she didn't manage to get the title for her roster. There's been a lot of friend-related insecurity around Becky's stories in the past few months, and having her head back to her own roster without the title could play into that. Shane, seeing how upset she is, says that this is the time to make the SmackDown Women's title. And Becky says no. She doesn't want a consolation prize title, she doesn't want something that they made up and gave to her. She's not in this for a participation prize. She wants the real thing. Obviously, shots fired at the Raw roster there for creating a title straight out of the gate, and Shane's already spoken about how he doesn't want to do that. So enter the Bella Twins. Brie quit WWE to spend more time with her husband, who now has 2 WWE jobs, so well done Brie, I guess. Perhaps she shows up to spend some time with the women's roster of SmackDown, to mentor them, to talk to them about what went on while she was starting in the division, and with Brie comes Nikki. After all, the women of Raw have Stephanie McMahon to mentor them, even if that's sort of more outside of kayfabe than in it. So why not have Brie as a mentor? Why not bring the Bella Twins in and let them mentor that roster? So as I've said, along with Brie comes Nikki. Now, Nikki Bella gets a lot of stick, but say what you like, the woman's made an empire out of wrestling. So she comes back in after that nasty neck injury and says to Becky, look, you don't like having things handed to you, that's fair, but it's a title. Don't you want a title? Nikki tells Brie to tell Daniel to tell Shane to go ahead with making the title, and there's a women's battle royal for it. Doing a Darren Young, Eva Marie manages to win by sheer ability of not losing. At which point, Nikki comes out and says, it's cute and all that people think they're able to win a title just by getting lucky, but actually, this was a battle royal for the #1 contendership. And at the first SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, it's going to be Nikki versus Eva Marie for the new SmackDown Women's title. Becky, as much as she doesn't like things being handed to her, doesn't want to just see Nikki waltz in and be handed something that she didn't earn either. So she takes this up with Shane, calls herself the top woman of the roster, and says that letting Nikki walk into this position is shades of the authority. It's more like something that Steph and Triple H would have done on Raw before. Shane agrees, and so the match becomes Becky versus Eva Marie, with all the chance that we're going to get to watch Eva die on the canvas. Becky starts becoming increasingly angry with her management, saying that they're smothering the women's division, they didn't put enough effort or time into it, even though they've just given her this huge chance. And Nikki stepped out of her title match with pretty good grace, really. Management start getting a little bit frustrated that no matter what they do, it's not good enough for Becky. Finally, Shane snaps. He goes, "You want something difficult, you want your chance, you want your opportunity, fine, the match is a no DQ. Becky's pretty pleased, because it means she can get as rough as she likes with the little upstart Eva Marie on her roster, and she starts talking to all the other women, saying, in no uncertain terms, that she's going to win this title, she's the best of them, she was the first women's pick on SmackDown. This doesn't go down exactly like she'd hoped, and it's pretty clear that the rest of the roster are a little bit unhappy with new prima donna Becky. Meanwhile, on Raw, Charlotte and Sasha are still feuding for the WWE Women's Championship. Nia Jax and Paige are having a vicious feud that involves face Paige against Nia's monster heel, and has Paige taking way more punishment than she should be able to. This is after Nia calls the rest of the roster something like breakable little girls, and Paige takes exception to that. Summer Rae and Alicia Fox are arguing over who's more relevant. Summer, who has at least had a few matches since WrestleMania, or Alicia, who claims that she's the better wrestler. This is a catty feud because it's Summer Rae and she does it so well. So we have Alicia going to Summer, "Who's your new boyfriend then?" And Summer asking, "How does it feel to be the least relevant member of Team Bella?" Ouch. Dana Brooke is still on Charlotte's side, but she's starting to think that maybe Sasha's side looks like the winning team, and Dana likes winning. She likes to ally herself with the strongest person she can find, and at this point she's pretty much convinced that that's Sasha, not Charlotte. So we go into the Raw exclusive pay-per-view with 2 women's matches. Charlotte versus Sasha for the title, and then a tag match with Paige and Alicia versus Nia and Summer. Dana interferes in the title match, but this time she does it for Sasha, shocking Charlotte as her little lapdog changes sides. But Sasha's also pretty shocked. She didn't conspire to do this, and she's really angry. She doesn't want anyone helping her to win. She wants to know she's holding her title on her own merits. And Dana doesn't get what she wants out of this situation. She's dropped by Charlotte, but she's not accepted by Sasha either. The tag match is won by Nia and Summer because Paige and Alicia managed to fall out over old PCB Team Bella nonsense. And Nia starts talking about how she thinks she deserves a title shot soon. That's where I'm going to leave the Raw roster. That's the feuds and storylines I'd have them work with, and that takes us to the start of October. Back to SmackDown. Their first exclusive pay-per-view has Becky versus Eva Marie, with Becky just about ready to murder Eva for that title. And it's a no DQ match. Becky reckons she's got this in the bag because she's been talking to all the other women, right? They're her friends. But when they come down to the ring, it's to beat her down instead of backing her up. They're sick and tired of hearing her talk like no one else on the roster matters but her, and so when the bell rings for the end of the match, it's Eva Marie being handed the first SmackDown Women's title. I know. Eva with a title. Eva the first title holder of a new women's title. It should be blasphemy. But hold on. I've got a plan. Tuesday night on SmackDown, Eva Marie is cocky enough in her victory that she offers up an open challenge. And just as we think, well, Becky's going to get in on that. What's that music? It's Bayley! She's debuting properly on the SmackDown roster, and she goes in and wins that title clean and easy. She's holding the title, she's stood in the ring, she's clearly over the moon. Becky's music hits. Becky's running down to the ring, Bayley's holding her arms open for a hug. Surely Becky's going to be so happy to see her with this title, and turns out Becky's not happy. Becky's not happy at all. I'd leave the SmackDown roster there heading into October, with Becky and Bayley as the title feud, and Eva Marie thinking she has friends on the roster. After all, they helped her win a title, right? And everybody sort of gently disabuses her of the notion. Naomi, Alexa and Carmella would be circling each other for the third best spot, which I'd eventually give to Naomi, because I think there's a lot that she could teach the other two girls now that they've come up from NXT. Finally, Nikki Bella and Natalya are feuding over who's the best mentor and example for the SmackDown women, which will culminate in a retirement match. So, that's how I'd book it. Let us know if you agree, disagree, or just think you can do better over at wrestlingrehash.com, or drop us a line on Twitter to talk about wrestling, at wrestlingrehash. I've been Steph, and you've been very attentive. I'll see you soon.